Hey folks, today we're going to be making a couple of tools. We're going to be making this template, which makes sure that all of our little squares on our ground tiles are the same size. And we're going to use this template to make this jig. This jig is what makes sure that when we put all those nice little tile squares on here, they're all in the correct position and everything works out correctly, and whatever you make, let's say today, will fit with whatever you make months from now. So the great thing about this jig is that once you make it, as long as you keep it safe and keep it clean and take the glue off, you can make a lot of ground tiles. Here's how many I've made so far. And yeah, I'm still going. And they all fit together, and I've made them over the last 3 months now, I think. So yeah, it's a great little tool that'll pay dividends in the long run. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a fresh piece of foam. We're going to find a nice, clean, right angle edge. And it has the paper still on it. You don't have to peel the paper off. And use that to make our grid square template. These grid squares are 1.5 inches, and that's because we want to make sure if we make a 5-foot wide hallway, or a hallway that's 1 grid square wide, you can still fit a mini with a 1-inch base in there. And we're gonna make sure that we cut this with the knife as perpendicular to the foam as possible so we don't get any kind of angle issues. And you will notice that when we go on to the further steps that we're only using one of the 2 widths of this template. You know, theoretically they're both exactly 1.5 inches wide, but in reality they're cut by a human being, so they're going to be a little bit different. So we're going to choose the one that's closest to 1.5 inches and designate that one to be the dimension that we always use. And we're going to now make a couple of 3/8 inch strips, at least 8 inches long, that we're going to use for the spine and the ribs of our jig. We'll add some tape to them to give them a little bit of thickness and also some durability. It's great to have the tape on there because when you start gluing down tiles using this jig, you will get some hot glue on it eventually and occasionally, and it wipes off really easily off of this tape. Now we're going to cut one of them to 7.5 inches long. And the other one, we're going to cut 8 pieces, each 3/4 of an inch long. Once we have these cut, we're going to now make the back of the jig, which is just a 1.5 inch by 8 inch long piece of foam. And we're going to cut that out of our piece of foam. And you can see here, this is how the spine's going to sit on there. And you can see that this piece just happens to be long enough. So we're going to use our template we just made and measure that out because that'll be 1.5 inches. Cut it out, and then we're going to find the center line of this back piece. And here I have it marked, and we're going to glue down the spine section of our jig. Now you'll notice I put a heck of a lot of glue on there, which is probably not a great idea. You can already see it seeping out. And you may do the same, that's okay. Just take a piece of foam and you can wipe it away with a piece of foam. But you will make your life easier if you don't really put a whole bunch of glue on there. Surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, you don't really need a whole lot of glue on there. It actually is really, really sticky. So then we're going to find the center of it, which is at 3 3/4. And we're going to mark the same bit on our template so we can line those up and find the center part. And we're going to put out our first rib right next to it. And you can just mark it with a pencil kind of temporarily. Now make sure you don't put too much glue on here. You don't want a whole lot of seepage. It's just important to get coverage more than anything else. So you're going to cover one side and the bottom. And just put that on there. And squeeze it in there a little bit. And then use your template to double check the position. And then you're ready to do the next one. Now you'll notice the area marked with the square, I always put in the top right. So that way I am assured that I'm using the correct width. So yeah, so you see that square always in the top right. In later videos, you'll see that this template, I actually marked that a little bit better, and I probably should have done that for you guys in this one, but I didn't think about it at the time. And we're going to go ahead and make 2 more areas for squares on this side, and then we'll do the other side as well. And that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You always want to double check all your positions. You have some leeway and you have some time with the glue. It does take a little while to set. But if you're ever unsure, just put your grid square template back in place and make whatever adjustments you need. And you just do the same thing on the other side, making sure that your ribs match up with the other ribs on the other side. And once all your ribs are glued on, you're done. That's it. And just let it sit and cure for a little while, and it'll be ready to use. In the next video, we will actually make the grid tiles using these simple tools. So hopefully I'll see you there. Please like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified of new videos. As my thank you for your support, I've also put some free downloads for you at GameGearMaster.com, including a free PDF that lays out the details on the different Terraino building blocks. And I'll be posting more free stuff there, as well as Game Gear, D&D adventures, and other stuff you can buy to support these free videos. So thanks again.